everybody. My name is Dr. George Sparks, and this is Archaeology from the Ground Down. I know it's kind of hard to tell with my super cool Halloween vest on and my witch's hat. Actually, it's just a costume. Now, don't get carried away. Sponsored by Bible Interact. And you got to be saying, well, what do you mean by that? Sponsored by Bible Interact, wearing a witch's hat. Well, today I'm going to talk about the curse of the Halloween candy. That's right, the curse of the Halloween candy. What's that got to do with archaeology, you might ask, right? Absolutely nothing. But this will be fun, and only for a few minutes. So you know what Halloween is to some people. Of course, it's about the seasons changing, number one. Some people think it's about good versus evil. Others might think it's a time where the kids dress up, or we all dress up, and we go out. And of course, for kids, if we all remember that far back, it's a time to go out there and collect candy. Unfortunately, today, we're a little bit leery of having our kids go door to door in the neighborhood. So they go to the malls. Easy enough, it's quick, and the malls are quite large. So actually, they can get quite a lot of candy, such as right here, and you got your Reese's cups and your Quicks. And this is not advertising candy, but this is all stuff that we really like. And this is what makes it really important is the candy. And maybe just the costume and parading around for a lot of kids and for adults. This is what it's about, the Halloween candy. There's always concern to make sure nobody, tampers with the candy. That's why we have adults present. But maybe after kids, they go to the malls and they just collect a lot of candy. And then they go to you can say the upper class neighborhoods, because why? Because that's where they give the whole candy bar. That's really cool. Now, I'm going to start my little story of the curse of the Halloween candy. After Halloween, I went into my son's room, and it was an absolute mess. He was like 10 years old, and there was a large cooler, like you go camping. Not just a little cooler. This was a large cooler. It was so large that my grandma put 2 weeks worth of her favorite beer in that one container. So I'm telling you, it's quite large for Granny to do all that. And I thought that, I opened it up, it would be empty, and I could put some of his toys in there, and probably stack it up out of the way. However, believe it or not, when I opened up this large cooler, it was pretty good size. From top to bottom, it was completely full of candy. I'm thinking, what were these kids doing? A Halloween marathon? That's a lot of candy, not just a little bucket full. Now, this happened to be a day where I was going to work. So I reached in and I was going to get a few pieces of candy to take to work. My son looks at me and he says, "What are you doing with my Halloween candy?" I thought, oh, you greedy little brat. I didn't say it like that, but I'm thinking that. I say, you got all this and you can't share a couple of pieces? He says, "You stay out of my Halloween candy." But he reaches in and he says, "I'll get you a piece." And he's in there digging away, and he pulls out one of those circular mints. It kind of looks like like a round candy cane, white with the little red stripes. So I said, okay. And I took it and I put it in my pocket and went to work. Now, it just happened to be a long day at work because towards the end of my shift, I got hit with overtime. So, I kind of thought, well, let's get it over with. One of those days. And when I reached in my pockets, I put my hands in my pockets and I forgot all about it. But there was that circular little piece of candy. I thought, wow, I was surprised. And I thought this was pretty cool stuff. So I opened up the piece of candy and put it in my mouth. Now, let me ask you a question. It's one of those circular mint candies, hard as heck, but how many people actually let hard candy completely dissolve in their mouth? Remember the Tootsie Roll Pops years ago? And the question was how many licks you can get to the center of that Tootsie Pop? I don't know. I can never get that far. I would try. Maybe you tried too. But how many gave in to that temptation and bit into it? And that's it. We never get to count how long it would take to get to the center of that Tootsie Pop. Well, anyway, I had that mint in my mouth for quite a while, and all of a sudden, I had this epiphany. Okay, it's just time to chew it up, and the heck with it. So that's exactly what I did. But when I bit into that piece of candy, guess what happened? I broke off a chunk of my molar. Oh man! I thought, well, I didn't feel good, but luckily it didn't go into the nerves. I wasn't in pain, but I'm just missing a piece of my tooth. Of course, the next day, I come home and because it was overtime, so I had to spend the night 16 hours. And I saw my son. I said, guess what happened with that piece of candy? I said, I was chewing on it and broke off a piece of my tooth. And he says, I told you not to eat my candy. So then, of course, I have to plan a doctor's appointment. And I go and see the dentist. And the dentist looks at me and says, you're going to need a crown. Really? Of course. He said, but he says, we also might need to do a root canal. I didn't want to hear that. So guess what? That little piece of candy, not even worth 5 cents, even though I had dental insurance. By the time we got done, it cost me $700. Now that to me is the curse of the Halloween candy. Now I thought you thought I would go into this some kind of hocus pocus. But honestly, folks, when you think of it, that's not good. A piece of candy ends up costing you $700. What do you think? Like and subscribe, but stay away from the cursed Halloween candy because it might just send you to the dentist. People have a great day. Have a good time. I will. I'm going to have to take off this hat. And I hope the glow, you can deal with it.